You're lying in bed. It's late. You should be asleep, but you're not. You're scrolling. And there she is, someone you went to school with, standing in front of a brand new Range Rover Sport, the kind that costs more than you earn in a year, captioned, "Treat yourself, you deserve it. Swipe, Marbella." Again, the fourth time this year, swipe. A friend renovating a Victorian terrace in southwest London, the kind of place that sells for £1.2 million before you've even seen the kitchen. And the same quiet question claws its way up your throat. The one nobody ever says out loud, the silent scream. How on earth are they affording this? You do the maths in your head, lying there in the dark. You know roughly what they earn. You know what that car costs. You know what 4 holidays cost. And the numbers don't add up. They never add up. So you assume the problem is you. You assume everyone else got a memo you missed. You assume they're simply better at life. Tonight, I'm going to tell you the secret the algorithm has spent years hiding from you. Most of them aren't rich. They're broke. They're just broke in very, very nice clothes. That Range Rover on the driveway, it didn't set them free. It chained them to a desk in the city. 3 years of fixed monthly payments. A personal contract that doesn't care how the month went. The new leather smell fades in a fortnight. The direct debit lasts until 2028. They didn't buy a car. They rented a feeling. And the bill comes every single month, whether they feel it or not. Let me show you what's actually happening behind the highlight reel, because the data tells a very different story to the captions. As of late 2025, household debt in the United Kingdom sat at around 117.5% of disposable income. Read that slowly. The average household now owes more than an entire year's take-home pay. Not what they spend in a year, what they owe. Every payslip is already spoken for before it lands. And the cost of carrying that debt has quietly turned brutal. The average credit card interest rate has climbed to almost 25%. Let that sink in. Not 25% on some dodgy back alley loan, 25% on the ordinary plastic in your back pocket. The average household is now carrying around £2,700 of credit card debt alone, and the average adult is sitting on roughly £4,476 of unsecured debt. Here's what almost 25% actually means. If you only ever make the minimum payment, that balance can shadow you for the better part of a decade, and you can end up paying back nearly double what you borrowed. You don't own the lifestyle owns you. The taxman takes his slice off the top, and then the credit card quietly takes another, and what's left over is what you actually live on. For millions of people, that's the real budget, whatever survives the interest. But here's the part that's almost invisible, because the newest kind of debt doesn't even look like debt anymore. It's called buy now, pay later. Klarna, ClearPay. That innocent little button at the checkout that splits £40 into 4 neat payments of 10. It doesn't feel like borrowing. It feels like a discount. It feels free. It is neither. Around 1 in 5 British adults now use these services, and the number climbs every year. And it's no longer just trainers and party dresses and gadgets. People are now splitting the weekly food shop into installments, splitting the kids' school uniforms, splitting the gas bill. And when you are spreading the cost of a tin of beans and a loaf of bread across 4 payments, let's be honest with each other. You are not managing your money. Your money is managing you. It has become so widespread that the Financial Conduct Authority is finally stepping in to regulate it from July 2026. But the habit is already baked in. An entire generation has learned to feel wealthy on borrowed time. One tiny, painless installment at a time, never adding up the total, never daring to. Now let me introduce you to 2 people, and this is where it gets uncomfortable. Because one of them is probably your neighbour, and one of them is probably the version of you that you secretly wish you were. The first earns £40,000 a year, nothing flashy, drives a sensible car that's already paid for, holidays once a year, somewhere quiet. But every single month, without fail, this person puts 15% of their salary, that's £6,000 a year, into a SIP, a self-invested personal pension. No caption, no photo, not a single person on Instagram knows it's happening. It is the most boring decision they make all month, and it is quietly making them rich. The second earns £100,000 a year, 6 figures, the dream salary, the number you'd kill for, but they are what we call house poor. An enormous mortgage on a home they can only just about service. A leased German car on the drive that resets every 3 years. The Marbella trips, the renovations, the right schools, the right postcode, the right everything. And at the end of every month, after the mortgage, the lease, the fees, and the image, they save almost nothing. sometimes less than nothing. So let's fast forward 15 years and see who was actually winning. The person on 40,000, quietly feeding £6,000 a year into the background, watches it compound, quietly, relentlessly. After 15 years of steady growth, they're sitting on well over £140,000, working away while they sleep, owing nobody a penny. And the person on 100,000, yes, they have a bigger house. But strip out the mortgage they still owe on it. Strip out the leased car that's worth less every single morning. Strip out the empty savings column and their actual freedom. Their actual liquid wealth, the money they could put their hands on tomorrow, can land in exactly the same place, sometimes behind. The treadmill looks fast, the scenery flies past, but it is not, and never was, going anywhere. One of them is building a life, the other is renting an image, by the month, at full price. So why do we do it? Why do we chase a life we can't afford, to impress people we don't even like, with money we don't actually have? Because social media has quietly rewired the entire British class system. It used to be keeping up with the Joneses, and the genius of the Joneses was that they lived next door. You could see their real house, their real car, their real, slightly disappointing, completely ordinary life. The comparison was honest, because it was complete. But now you're not comparing yourself to your neighbour. You're comparing your messy, real, unedited financial life, the overdraft, the quiet dread, the 3 a.m. scrolling, against somebody else's curated marketing campaign. Because that is what a feed is. It's an advert. And the product being sold is a version of a person that does not actually exist. Nobody posts the credit card statement. Nobody posts the letter from the lender. Nobody films themselves moving the weekly shop onto Klarna at the till. You are losing a race that the other person isn't even running. They're just standing still in front of a nice car, taking a photo. So what does real wealth actually look like in the United Kingdom? Brace yourself, because the truth is deeply, gloriously boring. Real wealth is a paid-off Skoda, or a 10-year-old Toyota that starts every single morning and owes nobody anything. It's a modest 3-bedroom home, out in the suburbs, maybe in Zone 2 if you got lucky, with a mortgage that is actually, finally, getting smaller. It's a fully maxed out stocks and shares ISA, compounding quietly, year after year, completely tax-free, while the taxman stands and watches and cannot touch a single penny of the growth. It's a boiler that's been serviced, a pension that's being fed, an emergency fund that turns a broken-down car from a catastrophe into a mild Tuesday afternoon annoyance. Real wealth is silent. It does not rev its engine at the traffic lights. It has absolutely nothing to prove, so it doesn't try to prove anything. Because here is the thing the fake rich will never understand. Real wealth doesn't need a caption. It doesn't need a hashtag. It doesn't need one single person on this earth to even know it exists. The fake rich are performing freedom while quietly living in a cage. The genuinely wealthy are living in freedom while looking to the entire outside world like nothing special at all. And that invisibility is the whole point. That is the prize. So the next time you're lying awake in the dark, scrolling, and that silent scream starts to rise in your throat, how are they affording this? I want you to remember the answer. Most of the time, they're not. You have a choice, and you get to make it again every single payday. Perception or freedom. The Range Rover on finance, or the quiet, unglamorous, unstoppable machine of real wealth working away in the background. One of those needs an audience. The other one just needs you to stop scrolling and start building. The choice, as always, is entirely yours. If you learned something from this video, like and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next videos.